If you're seeing this part, it's because I am not quite live yet. And I had to do it this way, but we're going to go live. So bear with me. Okay, hello there again. It's Shar from Living Charmed, and I want to welcome you to our third live episode. I say our because I usually have a co-host with me here, and I'll get into that a little bit more. But this is our third live Living Charmed video cast today. And the theme is going to be relationship rich. Today's just an introduction to that and all the topics that go with it. Ironically, or maybe not so ironically, I am running solo today. My co-host, Val, my sister, is not feeling well at all. She phoned me very apologetic and not feeling well at all and just saying she can't come on. And you know what? Life happens. That's how it goes in our lives. So stuff's going to happen and you got to go with the flow. That's what this is all about. So that's why I say maybe not so ironically. Also, the other thing is in relationship rich, a lot of people come to me with many different relationship issues, reasons that they come to me, right? But I always, whether they like it or not, sometimes we start with self, because that is the only relationship that we can control, is the ones that we have with ourselves. We can't control other people. Many of us want to. Sometimes we try to manipulate situations and people into being who we want them to be, right? And that doesn't always work, and we shouldn't want that. Actually, if we everybody in our lives were the same, life would be pretty boring, right? So that being said, control is a big thing. The only thing we do have control of is ourselves and how we act and how we show up in relationships. So relationship rich is one of the pillars of Charmed. It's the fourth one, right in the middle. So and it's relationship rich, not by there's a reason for that, and that is because when we are rich in our relationships, we have value in our lives, right? Self value, relationship rich, value, right? And when our value is aligned, we bring value into our relationships. And that is why I always, when I'm working with somebody, it's self first, right? Because we have to make sure that everything's in alignment there, not too high, not too low, right? That comfortably confident thing that I took, the first pillar in Charm that I talk about. So yes, ordinarily I have a co-host, and that would be Val, my sister, but she's not here today. So it's just going to be me today. So it's going to be short and hopefully sweet, right? Just a quick, short, sweet introduction to relationship rich and what to expect. It's going to be weekly. There's going to be all kinds of topics involved with underneath that pillar. The topics, some of the topics to expect underneath that are going to be certain topics like characteristics that are destructive in our relationships. And these are all going to be topic oriented. So we're going to go deep into them. I'm going to touch on some of them now, but there are so many. So some of the obvious deep destructive characteristics in our relationships are expectations, right? Sometimes we have expectations in our relationships, and whether the other person knows it or not, right? We sometimes we expect things of them that they're giving us, and sometimes they don't have it to give. So again, that's a big topic. Unforgiveness, really big subject, and it rarely hurts the other person when you're holding on to unforgiveness, but it does hurt yourself, and you are allowing them to hurt you over and over again if you decide to hang on to that, right? Impatience, jealousy, envy, and comparison, big topic there. Control, again, your motives for wanting to control, right? It's you want to be able to have self-control, but you don't want to try to control others, right? You can inspire change in other, but that's, you know what, that's going to be under the adding value part of adding value topics. And usually when we do topics, we probably will counter, obviously, with how to counter the destructive behavior in our relationships and in ourselves, right? Another one is pride. Pride is big. Pride is really big in our relationships. It can be very hurtful sometimes. The scale, that is a big one. The scale belongs in the bathroom, people, not in our relationships, but we often bring it into our relationships. We all do it. Everybody does it. It's human nature. It's something that we really need to work on within ourselves, because women can be especially guilty of this, but it's like, you go to ask for a favor or do something, and when you get the no, you're disappointed. What is happening there, it really is that you're disappointed. So what you do is you go back on all the things you've done for them and blah, blah, blah. And why can't they do this one little thing for me? And the skill comes in so many other ways, but that's just kind of one example. And I'm not going to stay there too long, but that is a big one. Needing to be right. That's another one. Sometimes we'll fight and need to be right about something, so much so that it damages the relationship. And when we damage a relationship, we're damaging ourselves as well, right? So there are certain things definitely that you want to, like your integrity and your self-value. There's obviously, I don't know the words I'm looking for, but anyways, there's a time and place of when to be right, but there's a time and place and when to just let it go, right? When it's going to damage a relationship, you've got to let it go. And again, there's exceptions to every rule, is what the word I was looking for. Being easily offended. Sometimes when people come to me, and there's many different relationships that they're having problems with, unfortunately, you're going to have to look at the common denominator there. So it's self-accountability, right? Because if you're having trouble in many of your relationships and you're just having really a lot of trouble getting along and there's strife in many of them, you got to know that there's a common denominator there. And sometimes that self-accountability can be very hard, but so worth it when you dig in there. It really is. And people can unintentionally offend you. Yesterday, for example, that's going to be a thing about going live here. We did for Relationship Rich, which is another relationship, right? And it falls under Relationship Rich, but for Relationship Fridays are going to be a regular segment. I quickly blipped off the topics, and because it's live, I found myself rewatching part of it yesterday and realized that in my topics, when I talked about rising vet costs and how they're owning people out of owning animals, I realized, what if my own veterinarian was watching this show? I'd be mortified, because she does not belong in that category. She is actually one of the reasons why I am so passionate about some of the other rising vet costs and stuff and what's going on there, because she is very much not that way. I have a very valuable relationship with my veterinarian. And in fact, she's a big part of my first book. So, but that's just an example of how you can unintentionally offend somebody. Because if she was to watch this show and she is my veterinarian, she could easily have thought, well, how can that be about me, right? So that's just an example of how you can really easily and unintentionally offend somebody. But so there's an endless amount of topics when it comes to the destructive characteristics, and we're going to be going into many of them and all of them. And then there's characteristics that add value to our relationships, and we always want to add value to our relationships. That's the part that we want to bring in. That's what we want to look at, right? Like we're all about how we can be offended in our relationships and what we need from others, but really what we should be looking at is what do we bring to the relationship? And that's, it's not always an easy thing to do, because we're interacting with people in everyday lives, and quite frankly, sometimes people piss off. Right? We get angry and we are triggered and we react, and that's when it gives us an opportunity sometimes to back away, process it, and figure out a better way for next time. Or maybe even just when you're working on yourself, you have already gone to the level where you can kind of react in the moment and take care of it right away in a constructive way, in a way that where there's no feelings hurt, because that's when we are offended, that's when feelings end up getting hurt. And it's, you know what, we should always try not to hurt each other's feelings. There's nothing wrong with not wanting to hurt each other's feelings. There's nothing wrong with wanting to keep peace in relationships at all. And we're going to be getting deep into that as we go further in. So some of the things that add value to relationships: respect, right? Appreciation. That's again where the scale can come in, because a lot of times if we, you know, make sure that we're going about appreciating someone in our relationship, we might be doing that, and then realizing that we're not getting that reciprocated back to us. You know what? We have to be okay with that. We just have to be okay with that. It's, you know what, showing appreciation is never a bad thing. Many of us hold that back. And a lot of the reasons is because what we do tend to think, human nature, is, well, they never go out of their way to appreciate me, and they never say things about me, me, right? But you know, we can't do that. We cannot do that if we want to have good and valuable and rich relationships. It takes a lot of humility. That's another thing that we need. It's an added value to our relationships when we can master that particular value. Again, letting somebody be right, even though you know they're wrong, right? It's, and again, it depends on the subject, of course, you guys. But it's okay to let somebody be right, even if you know they're wrong. Just change the subject, just go away. Just, you know, if it's something that, you know, especially if it's something frivolous, right? The sky is blue, the sky is green, but you know it's blue, right? Okay, well, I thought it was blue. I guess I'll have to research that further. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Just frivolous topics that end up being big fights sometimes and really interfere with our relationships. So keeping commitments. Val, just kidding. I had to do that today. Val felt so bad when she had to cancel on me. And you know what? It's going to happen. I'm going to be running these things solo sometimes. And, you know, the shows will be shorter when they're like that. I mean, I'm going to have other guests on too. So a lot of times if she's not here to co-host, we will miss her, and we miss you, Val, but you'll be on again and it's all good. So again, you know what, those topics, endless. Accountability, that's another value, self-accountability, right? All kinds of things. The other thing that we're going to be doing is various different types of relationships, because there's family, there's friends, colleagues, romantic relationships. That has a whole bunch of subtopics within it. So long-term relationships, dating, all kinds of topics there. Again, we're having a Valentine's show on February 14th, and that's going to be, obviously the topic's going to be dating and romantic relationships, but it doesn't have to be, because Valentine's Day is really another day. And I mean, it's just another day of the year, right? But you know what? Every day should be Valentine's Day. And so what is Valentine's Day about? Appreciating people in your life, right? Showing appreciation. So it's not just your romantic relationships that you can celebrate that day. You can celebrate all relationships, but we can do that 365 days of the year too, when we, you know, work on it. We have to work on it. Social media, friendships, right? Acquaintances, anyone we interact with. Furry relationships, hence the fur relationship Fridays, right? So all kinds of different topics and stuff that we will be going over in our relationship rich themed segment. And those are going to be held weekly, because it's just such a vast area, and there's so many topics to cover. Again, I just want to barf them all out at once. I'm just so excited to dig into this. Patience, that's another one that I had up there, right? Got to have patience. So this is me being patient. So, you know, I'm going to keep it short today. Like I said, it's just basically introducing what to expect in the relationship rich themed shows, and some of the topics to come as we start doing more lives and the topic orientated shows, right? Which will be announced on livingcharmed.ca, probably 2 weeks in advance. Right now, we're just kind of introducing all the shows. So, you know, we're just kind of rolling it out. doing what we can to get it out there. But we'll be right into the meat and potatoes of it all soon enough, and it's going to be fun. I'm really excited. So to find that, you'll go on livingcharm.ca and just click on the video cast if you're looking for the shows to come. I also will be posting this in a Facebook group that I have after each show, just so that I can kind of get it out there. That being said, we do need some exposure. So if you're watching this and you don't know who we are and you kind of do want to find out more about this, please do like, comment, and mostly subscribe to this channel so that we can get it out there a bit more, because the whole idea behind doing this is that we want to reach people. I want to reach people. I want to reach people that wouldn't ordinarily reach out and ask for help. Let them know they're not alone in their thoughts, how the way they think. We all think very much alike, believe it or not. Different but alike, right? We're very unique people. Thank God. Thank you, God. So we think differently, but we also think very much alike, and we can really relate to each other on a lot of different issues, even though we feel alone in them sometimes. So, and then that being said too, if you know somebody that's struggling or you're struggling yourself, please do reach out and contact me. If you want to chat with me, it's always free first, for sure. What else do I have here? I want to make sure that I'm not forgetting anything. Comments, and if you want to send us topic requests and stuff, and or you want to be a guest on one of our shows to come, send it to livingcharmed.live@gmail.com, livingcharmed.live@gmail.com. That's just to send in again requests for topics, and if you want to be a guest on our show. You know, eventually that's going to be up on the screen. That is a techie thing for me, right? Right now, the most important thing is getting the theme and the topics out there so that you know what to expect moving forward, right? And yeah, that's about it. That's what we're doing for these first few episodes. So I'm looking forward to digging in. Next week we should probably be live about 1 to 3 times again. I think we're going to try to do the body reset first one next week, and there'll be others, right? So you can always go to livingcharm.ca to see what's coming down the line. And so that being said, I'm going to close it off for now, saying bye to you all. Have a great, great day. Enjoy your lives and your relationships. And I'm looking forward to some of these shows to come and the topics that we get to discuss. I'm excited. All right. Bye for now.